My beloved soul, the truth you were never told is this: the pain you endured was not a punishment, it was a divine interruption. What broke you did not come to destroy you, it came to stop you from continuing down a path that would have slowly erased who you truly are. There are moments when heaven does not whisper, it intervenes, and when it does, the human heart often experiences that intervention as loss, confusion, or unbearable hurt. My beloved soul, this was not random, and it was not cruelty. This shift was necessary because something within you was being prepared for survival, not comfort, for alignment, not familiarity. Angels say the timing of this shift was precise, even though it arrived wrapped in pain. What you lost could not go where you are being led, and what you became could not be formed without pressure. You may still be asking why it had to happen the way it did, why it couldn't be gentler, why it felt like everything collapsed at once. But understand this: when a structure is no longer safe, heaven does not renovate it, heaven removes you from it. The shaking you felt was protection disguised as heartbreak. You were standing in something that looked stable, but the foundation beneath it was already cracked, and had you stayed longer, the collapse would have taken more from you than it already did. Angels say you were moved because you were being preserved. There are shifts that feel like betrayal because they separate us from what we trusted. There are endings that feel violent because they rip away what we leaned on. But not all pain is meant to wound forever, some pain is meant to wake you up. You were asking for clarity, even if you didn't know how to say it. You were asking for peace, even while tolerating chaos. You were asking for truth, even while ignoring signs. Heaven answered honestly. This shift removed illusions you were surviving on. It exposed emotional debts that were draining you quietly. It interrupted cycles that were repeating only because they were familiar. My beloved soul, angels say you were not meant to stay in a place where your spirit had to shrink in order to belong. The discomfort you feel now is not because you are off path, it is because you are no longer numb. You are finally awake to what you were enduring. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because what you are about to understand will reframe everything you thought went wrong. You may feel as if you were pushed out before you were ready, but angels say readiness is often revealed after movement, not before. If heaven had waited for you to feel confident, you might have stayed too long. The shift came when your strength was hidden, not absent. You survived days you thought would break you, nights where the silence screamed louder than words, moments where you questioned your worth because what you loved could not stay. But hear this clearly: what left could not honor the version of you that was emerging. Some connections are only meant to walk with you until a certain layer of your soul awakens. When that awakening happens, misalignment becomes painful instead of invisible. That pain was the signal. Angels say the reason it hurt so deeply is because you were growing beyond something you once needed. Growth always feels like grief when the old identity cannot come with you. You are not weak for mourning what ended, you are human. But do not confuse grief with regret. You did not make a mistake. You responded to a divine redirection. This shift stripped you of what distracted you from your inner authority. It removed noise so you could finally hear yourself. It forced you into stillness so your soul could recalibrate. You may feel lonely in this season, but angels say solitude is not abandonment, it is recalibration. When everything familiar falls away, the truth has space to rise. You are learning who you are without external validation, without roles that drained you, without attachments that defined you more than you defined yourself. This is sacred work, even when it feels unbearable. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what you are walking through is shaping discernment that will protect you for the rest of your life. The lessons you are learning now will prevent future pain that would have been far more destructive. Heaven always thinks long-term, even when the human heart only sees immediate loss. You were not meant to stay where you had to over-explain your needs, overextend your energy, or overcompensate for others' lack of presence. Angels say this shift is teaching you the difference between effort and alignment. When something is aligned, it may still require work, but it does not require self-betrayal. The pain you experienced was the cost of staying misaligned for too long, not the cost of leaving. What followed the shift is unfamiliar, yes, but unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It only means you have not yet built new emotional reference points. You are learning to trust again, not others first, but yourself. You are learning that peace is louder than chaos, even when it feels quiet. You are learning that stability does not always feel exciting, but it feels safe. Angels say you were removed so you could stop confusing intensity with love, familiarity with destiny, and endurance with purpose. There is a reason this shift happened when it did. Had it happened earlier, you would not have understood it. Had it happened later, it would have taken more from you than it already did. Timing is the language of angels. You may replay conversations in your mind, wondering what you could have said differently, what you could have done to prevent the ending. But angels say some endings are not negotiated, they are appointed. You were never meant to carry that weight forever. What you are feeling now is not emptiness, it is space. Space for truth. Space for restoration. Space for what comes next. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because this shift did not just remove something from your life, it made room for a version of you that could not emerge before. And now hear this gently but clearly, you are being watched over. You are not navigating this alone. Even in moments where you feel disconnected, angels are guarding your emotional recovery. They are guiding your steps quietly, protecting you from returning to what would undo you. This season is not about rushing forward, it is about stabilizing inward. Let yourself grieve without judgment. Let yourself rest without guilt. Let yourself feel without rushing to fix. Healing is not linear, and alignment does not arrive all at once. My beloved soul, this shift was necessary because your future requires clarity, strength, and self-trust that could only be forged here. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what angels are preparing you to receive next will make the pain make sense in a way you cannot yet imagine. What you are experiencing now is the quiet after the storm, and silence can feel unsettling when your nervous system has grown used to chaos. Angels say this stillness is not emptiness, it is recalibration. Your soul is learning how to exist without constant tension, without waiting for the next emotional impact, without bracing itself for disappointment. That adjustment can feel uncomfortable, even frightening, because peace has its own unfamiliar weight. You may notice your mind replaying the past, not because you want to return, but because it is trying to understand what changed inside you. This is not weakness, this is integration. My beloved soul, the shift did not only move you away from something external, it also dismantled an internal identity you had been living in for far too long. You were carrying roles that were never meant to define you. You were absorbing emotions that were not yours to manage. You were negotiating your boundaries in places where they should have been honored automatically. Angels say this season is teaching you discernment. Through lived experience, not theory. What you tolerate now is radically different from what you once accepted, and that is evidence of growth, not bitterness. There will be moments when you miss what was, not because it was healthy, but because it was familiar. Familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar peace. The human heart tends to romanticize what it knows, even when it was suffocating. Angels are gently reminding you that missing something does not mean you are meant to return to it. Memory softens edges, but your body remembers the truth. Pay attention to how your body feels now compared to before. The constant heaviness has begun to lift, even if slowly. The tightness in your chest is not as relentless. Your breath is deeper, even when sadness visits. These are signs of alignment settling in. My beloved soul, stay present with this realization, because awareness is the doorway through which healing becomes permanent. You are no longer surviving, you are relearning how to live without losing yourself. This shift has recalibrated your nervous system to recognize safety instead of confusion. Angels say you are being trained to trust what feels calm, not what feels intense. This is a profound rewiring, especially if your past taught you that love must be earned through endurance. You are unlearning the belief that connection requires self-sacrifice. You are discovering that true alignment does not ask you to abandon your inner voice. This realization may bring grief for the version of you that tried so hard to make things work. Honor that version. They did the best they could with what they knew at the time. But do not anchor yourself there. That version was a bridge, not a destination. The shift carried you forward because lingering would have kept you trapped in cycles that fed on your empathy without reciprocation. Angels say the reason everything changed so suddenly is because gradual change would not have freed you completely. Partial detachment would have left emotional cords intact. This was a clean break for a reason. My beloved soul, do not turn away from this understanding, heaven is still unfolding clarity for you. As you move through this phase, you may notice a heightened sensitivity to energy, environments, and people. This is not accidental. Your intuition has been sharpened by what you endured. You are now able to sense misalignment before it takes root. This discernment is a gift earned through experience, not punishment. Angels say you will no longer be drawn to what drains you, even if it once felt exciting. Your soul is seeking resonance, not stimulation. This may make you feel temporarily disconnected from people who once felt close. Understand that not everyone can meet you where you are now. This is not superiority, it is alignment. Growth naturally changes your relational landscape. Some connections dissolve, others transform, and new ones will emerge that feel steady rather than consuming. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment of realization, because recognizing this shift in your preferences is how you avoid repeating old patterns disguised as new opportunities. There may also be a sense of impatience rising within you, a desire for reassurance that all of this is leading somewhere tangible. Angels acknowledge this feeling. Waiting after loss can feel heavier than the loss itself. But hear this, what is being prepared for you requires internal stability, not emotional urgency. The pause you are in is intentional. It is allowing your energy to settle so that when the next chapter arrives, you will not approach it from fear or lack. You are learning how to be grounded without external anchors. This foundation is critical. Without it, even blessings can become burdens. Angels say the shift slowed you down so your soul could catch up with your destiny. You are not behind. You are exactly where integration happens. In this space, you are being invited to redefine your relationship with yourself. Notice how your inner dialogue is changing. You are less willing to self-abandon for approval. You are questioning narratives you once accepted without resistance. This internal honesty may feel destabilizing at first, but it is the beginning of self-trust. When you trust yourself, you no longer tolerate environments that contradict your values. My beloved soul, remain with this awareness till the end, because what is forming within you now is the compass that will guide every major decision ahead. You are not meant to return to who you were before the shift. That chapter served its purpose. You are meant to integrate its lessons and move forward lighter, clearer, and more grounded. Angels say the pain you endured has refined your perception. You can now distinguish between emotional intensity and emotional safety. This discernment will protect your heart from future harm. You are not closing yourself off, you are becoming selective. There is a difference. Selectivity is wisdom, not fear. You are learning that peace does not need to be earned, it needs to be protected. This realization may feel subtle, but it is transformative. The shift reoriented your priorities from external validation to internal alignment. You are beginning to value consistency over promises, presence over performance, truth over comfort. These values will shape what enters your life next. As this part of your journey continues, trust the quiet guidance you are receiving. Not every message comes as a dramatic sign. Some come as a gentle knowing, a subtle resistance, a calm certainty. Angels speak through these impressions. Listen without rushing to interpret. Let clarity arrive naturally. My beloved soul, heaven is not finished speaking to you. This shift was the doorway, not the destination. What follows will meet you at the level of awareness you are cultivating now. Remain open, remain grounded, and remember that healing does not always feel like relief at first. Sometimes it feels like neutrality after chaos, and that neutrality is where true stability begins. As this unfolding continues, you may notice an unfamiliar strength rising within you, not loud or forceful, but steady and unshakable. Angels say this strength was cultivated in silence, shaped by the moments when you had no choice but to rely on your inner truth. You are no longer seeking permission to exist as you are. This is a profound transition. Before the shift, much of your energy was spent anticipating reactions, adjusting yourself to fit expectations, or managing emotional outcomes that were never truly yours to carry. Now, that weight is lifting. You are beginning to move through the world without bracing yourself for impact. This does not mean you will never feel pain again, it means pain will no longer define your direction. My beloved soul, this is what integration feels like. The lessons have settled. The urgency has softened. You are not rushing to replace what was lost because you understand now that replacement is not restoration. Restoration happens internally first, and only then does the external reflect it. You may find yourself re-evaluating old desires, noticing that what once felt essential no longer holds the same pull. Angels say this is because your values have matured. You are no longer driven by the need to prove your worth through endurance or sacrifice. You are learning that alignment does not require struggle to validate it. This realization may create a sense of distance between you and parts of your old life, not out of rejection, but out of clarity. You are seeing patterns for what they were, not what you hoped they could become. This honesty can feel sobering, yet it is deeply freeing. My beloved soul, remain present with this clarity, because it is guiding you toward choices that honor your nervous system, your time, and your emotional integrity. The shift refined your discernment so you would not mistake familiarity for destiny again. There is also a quiet confidence forming, one that does not announce itself. You are less reactive. You pause before responding. You observe more than you explain. Angels say this. Composure is the result of no longer needing external validation to confirm your reality. You trust your perceptions now. This trust is sacred. It was earned through moments where your intuition was tested, ignored, and ultimately proven right. The shift was painful because it forced you to confront truths you were once willing to soften for the sake of connection. Now, truth feels less threatening. You are not afraid of what you see because you know you can handle it. This is resilience, not hardness. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment of recognition, because acknowledging how far you have come anchors this growth into your identity. As you move forward, you may notice that your emotional responses are changing. Situations that once would have consumed you now pass through with less intensity. This does not mean you care less, it means you are no longer enmeshed. Angels say you are learning the art of emotional boundaries, not walls, but permeable edges that allow connection without self-erasure. This balance is delicate and powerful. You are discovering that compassion does not require self-neglect. You can hold empathy without absorbing pain. This is a skill many never learn, and it was forged in you through necessity. The shift demanded that you choose yourself, even when it felt unnatural. Now, that choice feels more instinctive. My beloved soul, stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because understanding this balance will redefine every relationship you engage in moving forward. There may be moments when you feel a sense of grief for time lost, for versions of yourself that endured more than they should have. Angels acknowledge this sorrow. It is valid. But do not let it turn into self-blame. You did not fail yourself, you learned yourself. Every experience contributed to the clarity you now possess. Without those chapters, you would not recognize alignment when it appears. You would not value peace the way you do now. Angels say wisdom is often born from survival, and while it would be ideal to learn gently, the soul sometimes requires contrast to understand its own needs. You are not behind because of what you endured. You are prepared. Preparation often looks like struggle before it looks like ease. In this season, you are being encouraged to listen more closely to your internal signals. Fatigue, restlessness, calm, curiosity, these are all forms of guidance. Angels communicate through what expands you and what contracts you. Pay attention without judgment. You are not meant to force yourself into environments that require constant explanation. You are meant to move toward spaces where your presence is enough. This shift is teaching you to recognize resonance. When something aligns, it will feel steady, not chaotic. When it does not, your body will tell you long before your mind catches up. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because this attunement you are developing is the key to sustainable fulfillment. You may also notice a renewed creativity or curiosity emerging, subtle at first. This is energy returning to you. When you are no longer managing emotional instability, your life force redirects itself toward expression and exploration. Angels say this is a sign of healing taking root. You are reclaiming parts of yourself that were dormant while you were in survival mode. Nurture this gently. There is no rush. Healing unfolds at its own pace. You are allowed to move slowly now. You are allowed to enjoy moments without analyzing them. This ease is not laziness, it is balance. The shift granted you permission to rest from constant vigilance. As you integrate these changes, remember that transformation is not always visible from the outside. Others may not immediately recognize how deeply you have changed, and that is okay. This work was for you, not for their validation. Angels say your alignment will speak through consistency, not explanation. Over time, your choices will reflect your growth more clearly than words ever could. My beloved soul, if you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what you are becoming now is not shaped by what you lost, but by what you learned. This shift was necessary not to diminish you, but to reveal a steadiness within you that will carry you into what is next with clarity, dignity, and quiet strength. As the deeper layers of this transformation settle, you may begin to sense a quiet reorientation of your inner world. Angels say this is the moment when understanding moves beyond the mind and enters the body. What once felt like chaos now feels like context. You are no longer trying to force meaning onto what happened, meaning is arriving on its own. This is the difference between intellectual acceptance and embodied truth. You are not just telling yourself that the shift was necessary, you are beginning to feel why it was unavoidable. Your reactions are slower, your choices more intentional, your tolerance for emotional distortion significantly reduced. This is not detachment, it is alignment. My beloved soul, this phase may feel subtle, but it is foundational. What is stabilizing within you now will determine how you engage with the world for years to come. Angels say the nervous system learns through repetition, and your system is learning safety, steadiness, and self-respect through consistent experiences of calm. You may notice that situations which once triggered anxiety now register as neutral, even irrelevant. This change is not accidental. The shift recalibrated your sense of importance. You are no longer assigning meaning where there is none. You are conserving energy instead of dispersing it. Angels say this conservation is sacred. It allows you to respond rather than react, to choose rather than comply. This is where inner authority begins to feel natural rather than forced. You are not proving anything anymore. You are simply being. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because recognizing this neutrality is how you know healing has moved beyond theory. When old patterns lose their emotional charge, they lose their power. You are not suppressing feelings, you are no longer governed by them. There is also a growing clarity around what you are no longer willing to compromise. This clarity may surprise you with its firmness. Angels say boundaries solidify when self-worth stabilizes. You are no longer negotiating your needs internally before expressing them externally. This is a profound shift from self-doubt to self-trust. You are learning that alignment does not require justification. When something does not resonate, you allow it to pass without explanation. This does not make you unkind, it makes you honest. Honesty is gentler than resentment. The shift taught you the cost of silence when truth was needed. Now, truth feels safer than suppression. My beloved soul, stay with this awareness, because it will quietly guide you away from situations that once would have entangled you emotionally. As you continue forward, you may find yourself drawn to simplicity. Less stimulation. Fewer obligations. Clearer intentions. Angels say this is not withdrawal, it is refinement. You are curating your environment to support your nervous system instead of challenging it constantly. This refinement creates space for depth. Conversations become more meaningful. Choices become more deliberate. You are no longer scattered. This coherence is a direct result of the shift. What was fragmented within you is integrating. My beloved soul, stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because this integration is preparing you for connections that meet you at this level of presence, not the version of you that was always compensating. You may also notice a change in how you perceive time. Urgency has softened. The need to rush outcomes has diminished. Angels say this is because you are no longer operating from fear of loss. When you trust yourself to navigate change, you do not cling to timelines. You understand that what is meant for you will not require force. This trust is not passive, it is grounded. You are taking responsibility for your choices without obsessing over control. This balance allows life to unfold without constant resistance. My beloved soul, this is the rhythm of alignment. It does not demand perfection, it invites presence. There may be moments when remnants of the past resurface, not to pull you back, but to show you how much you have changed. These moments can feel bittersweet. Angels say they are markers, not tests. Each time you respond differently, you reinforce the new neural pathways being formed. You are teaching your system that safety is available now. That you are capable of discernment. That you do not need to abandon yourself to maintain connection. This learning is cumulative. It builds quietly, but its impact is lasting. My beloved soul, do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because these moments of recognition are how confidence becomes embodied rather than aspirational. As this stage deepens, you may feel a growing sense of self-respect that is not dependent on external affirmation. This self-respect shows up as consistency. You follow through on what you promise yourself. You rest when needed. You disengage when something feels off. Angels say this consistency is the language of self-love. It is not dramatic, but it is transformative. The shift taught you that self-love is not a feeling, it is a practice. You are practicing it now through your choices. This practice creates trust within yourself. When you trust yourself, you do not fear change. You know you can handle what comes because you will not abandon your own needs in the process. You are also beginning to recognize the difference between solitude and isolation. Solitude feels nourishing now. It offers clarity rather than loneliness. Angels say this is because you are no longer using others to regulate your emotions. You are capable of being with yourself without discomfort. This capacity is essential for healthy connection. It ensures that future relationships are based on mutual presence rather than emotional dependency. My beloved soul, this understanding is quietly reshaping your relational blueprint. You are no longer seeking completion, you are offering wholeness. As you continue to integrate this shift, remember that alignment is not a destination you arrive at once. It is a state you maintain through awareness and choice. There will be days of ease and days of challenge, but your foundation is different now. You are anchored within yourself. Angels say this anchoring will allow you to move through future transitions with grace rather than shock. The shift you endured was intense because it was foundational. What follows will be gentler because you are more grounded. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what angels are preparing to unfold next will meet you in this steadiness, not in the chaos you once knew. Now the message completes itself, not with urgency, but with quiet certainty. Angels say you have crossed the threshold where understanding no longer needs to be proven through pain. What once required loss to be recognized will now be acknowledged through clarity. This is the gift of integration. You are not waiting to be saved, corrected, or validated. You are standing in the awareness that you can meet life as it is without abandoning who you are. My beloved soul, this is the true outcome of the shift. Not the ending of something, but the stabilization of you. The hurt you endured did not harden your heart, it refined your perception. You are softer where it matters and firmer where it counts. This balance is rare, and it was earned. You may notice that the future no longer feels threatening. Unknown paths do not trigger the same fear because you trust your ability to respond. Angels say this trust is the inheritance of every soul who chooses honesty over comfort. You are no longer negotiating with your intuition. You are honoring it. This honor will guide you gently but consistently toward experiences that feel mutual, grounded, and sustaining. What is coming will not demand that you prove your worth. It will recognize it. This is why the shift had to happen before the next chapter could arrive. Carrying unresolved attachments would have distorted what is meant to be received. As you move forward, remember that peace is not passive. It is an active relationship with yourself. You maintain it through awareness, through listening, through choosing alignment even when old patterns tempt you to compromise. Angels say you are capable of this because you have already done the hardest part. You let go when holding on felt safer. You trusted the unknown when the familiar was falling apart. That courage reshaped your inner world. Now, your external world will respond in time. There is no need to rush closure or demand certainty. Life will unfold in response to the steadiness you embody. My beloved soul, do not skip this final understanding, because it anchors everything you have walked through. The shift was not meant to be relived in your mind endlessly. It was meant to be integrated and released. You are allowed to step forward without carrying the weight of explanation. You do not owe anyone proof of your healing. Your calm is evidence enough. Angels say this is where gratitude naturally replaces grief. Not because the pain was desirable, but because it was purposeful. You are no longer defined by what you endured. You are defined by how you emerged. With discernment. With boundaries. With self-respect. With a quiet confidence that does not need applause. This is the version of you that can receive what is aligned without fear of losing yourself again. If you remain with this truth, the final word changes everything. You were never broken, only redirected. And now, you move forward whole. Type Amen.